Hi, welcome to this week's installment of the Monday Live webinar, where we'll be talking about the fundamental analysis and sentiment analysis for the week for 10th of October to 14th of October. That's this week. My name is JD, so I'd like to just speak to you about what fundamental analysis and sentiment analysis do for our trades. Basically, on the weekends, we analyze the market from last week. We analyze the economic data, we analyze the sentiment, the news, and the events that has happening for the last week. And we use this to create what we call the directional biases for our trades. So we know which are the currencies that are the strongest, which are the currencies that are the weakest. We pair them up together to get the highest probability trades for our coming weeks. And subsequently, during the week, we will also be managing trades that are being triggered, and we use economic data and the news and whatever that's happening around extensively to see if any of our trades has gone sour, has gone bad. Right? So what we do is always to seek alignment between fundamental analysis and sentiment analysis. So if, let's say, economy's data is good and the sentiment outside with regards to this currency is also good, so we can actually let that trade run its course. But if at any point of time we realize that even when UK economy's data is positive, it's releasing good data, but at the same time there is also a hugely negative sentiment on hard Brexit, and there is misalignment there. We might want to get out of any kinds of long pound trades prematurely. So that gives you an idea of what we are about to discuss today. So I shall move on with the analysis. For this week, we actually use our FSI, which stands for Fundamental Strength Index, to create our first picture of what the forex market is like. And to give you a better picture of how it looks like, we first and foremost show you the last week's FSI. Right, so the Fundamental Strength Index, just a background info, is actually constructed using economic data from Forex Factory, from Forex Street, and we actually come up with an index to measure what is the expansion rate or what is the contraction rate of the economy. So if you see here, Aussie is negative 34%, which means that prior to 1 year ago, it was actually contracting by as much as 34%, as opposed to that, the Kiwi had an expansion in terms of economy by as much as 21%. These are all data that we gotten from Forex Factory. Okay, so this is last week. As you can see that the Aussie, the Canadian, pound and yen are the ones who fared more or less the worst, and the better performers are the Euro, US, Kiwi, and the Chinese economy. Right. So what happened in 1 week's time? We all know that there were a lot of economic indicators were released last week. Those release actually affect these FSI indicators. If it's a positive, the numbers here should improve. If it's negative, the numbers here should be decreasing, so to say. Right? So this is this week. So from last week, we have a pretty huge change here, as you can see. And we can see that the Aussie has actually improved a little. The Kiwi went down a little, which means they are still in the green, which means they are still expanding, albeit at a slower rate. Canada actually improved pretty significantly from last week. So there was actually a negative 26% decrease, which means that there's a contraction in the economy, and actually improved more or less into 8%, negative 8%. So that is contraction to a lessening extent. And Chinese has been strengthening for a while now. Yen staying put. US, not much of a change there. Hold on, there is actually a pretty huge change. Okay, 11% to about 22%. Now we all know this actually came from the ISM manufacturing. Rest assured that labor markets, the data has also been captured with it, and we'll talk about that later, right? Okay, so Euro has been staying put, not too bad, has been performing quite well so far in terms of fundamentals, and surprise, pound finally see its green week. We finally have the pound or the UK economy breaching the zero, which means right now, as of today, pound or the UK economy has actually improved or expanded since a year ago. by as much as 3.73%. Okay, so this is the FSI. And I just want to bring all's attention to this three currency for this week. Actually, it's four currency this week. This two currency here is more or less referred to as the risk currency. And I just want to talk about these two today. And I also want to talk about US dollar today, which is one of the key currencies this week that has most news released. That's why I'm talking about US dollar today. And I'm also talking about pound today. We all know what happened last Friday, so it is important for me to address this particular currency, especially in a light that fundamentals for the UK economies has actually improved rather significantly. Okay, so let's continue. This is our second picture. The COT report gives an idea of what the big money or the big boys has been doing with their money, right? So it usually is a lagging indicator. I never believe that COT is something that can predict the movement, but it can give us an idea of where the momentum is heading so far. So in this case, the COT report is telling us there is a net short of the pound currency, which means there is a bearish momentum that's going on, and I don't think I need to emphasize that the market for pound right now is pretty bearish, right? So that actually is probably reflected within the COT report itself. I also want to bring across a point here that Aussie and Kiwi is also reacting in the same manner that I'm expecting from the fundamentals point of view. The Aussie has been improving and the Kiwi has also been going down a little. As you can see here, there is actually an increase in net long, and there is actually for Aussie, and there is actually an increase in net short position for Kiwi. So I'm going to talk about these four currencies today, which is the pound, the Aussie, Kiwi, and as well as the US dollar. Right, so we have a directional bias for this. The Aussie and Kiwi, we are actually slightly bullish and slightly bearish respectively. And the US dollar, we are actually slightly bearish. Okay, we'll talk about that later. And pound, we are bearish. Right, so let's talk about the first one, the Aussie dollar. The Aussie dollar, in terms of FSI, the Fundamental Strength Index, shows that there's an expansion and it is still below the zero mark. The zero mark here shows that there is fundamental expansion, and below that is fundamental contraction, and this is, as I mentioned before, compared to a year ago, right? So last year, about 10th of October 2015. The FSI shows contraction to a lessening extent that we all know. Okay, we are finally seeing a runway space for more Aussie dollar to strengthen, and if this trend continues and it goes up above zero, I would expect that the Aussie dollar would go even stronger than current. Right now, because it is still weaker than last year, I would say that there is a capped upside to the Aussie strength, which means if you're looking at the chart right now, if I'm not wrong, there is a huge resistance coming at 0.7 to 0.775. At that level, if you expect that level to be breached, that huge resistance to be breached, this fundamental data here has to be strong enough, which means it has to go above zero. Okay, so the Aussie, in terms of the COT, is also telling us there is a bullish momentum. There is additional long contracts. As you can see that there is actually an increase in the long contracts as well as decrease in there's also an increase in short contracts, but not as much as the long contracts itself. You can see that there's a significant difference between these two, and obviously the net difference is also long, and it has improved very significantly from last week. The sentiment and the momentum here in terms of COT is both aligned with the fundamentals of the Aussie FSI, right? So there are no key events next week, but we are not likely to see there is a lot of movement for the Aussie currency, and well, the sentiment and fundamental points north. I don't like to fight that, which means I don't want to be contrarian here and actually short the Aussie USD at perhaps 0.77, which is the resistance area I mentioned just now. I might want to look for a conservative short if I'm into the technical analysis at that point in time. But as of now, because I say that there is actually upside to the Aussie USD as of 12 p.m. Today. So what I can actually do for this particular currency is to go back to the chart itself and see if there's any runway for me to go up even higher, right? So if I would like to trade this particular pair, I'll just be taking a very conservative short, perhaps around this retracement here before the UK opens, and I will be targeting for 0.007, which is the area that I mentioned just now, and if I'm ambitious, I can aim for a 0.775, but I don't see that likely to happen. As mentioned before, the FSI is still below zero, and there is little news or little catalyst to actually support that kind of move. At the same time, of course, let's not forget that the US dollar might also strengthen in terms of its FSI, so we might want to take a pretty conservative move here by actually coming out, by actually protecting ourselves from this bearish move here. So you can see that it's more or less still in a downtrend. You might not just want to go in for long without planning ahead for your trades, right? So we can actually go for, oops, I forgot how to actually do this. Okay, we can actually go for this trade here versus this trade. So we can actually get a more or less one-to-one risk to reward trade. Okay, can. So moving on, with the Aussie in mind, let's go to Kiwi, which is another risk currency. For this risk, in terms of Aussie long trade, I always like to talk about how this particular trade can go wrong in the next week, in this week. For Aussie trade, if you would like to long this particular currency, there is always these risk events that would severely change your Aussie and Kiwi trading plan, right? So the risk events are always talks about how there is an unanticipated crash from the market, usually the equities market, sometimes DAX, sometimes the S&P, sometimes the entire world. So last week, obviously, there was a crash in a pound market and pound currency, and it is all unanticipated. And if this unanticipated crash actually came in the equity markets, the Aussie and the Kiwi usually are affected, and that is actually always followed by a spike in the VIX. This shows that there is a risk-off event, and when there is a risk-off, Aussie and Kiwi tends to weaken and yen tends to strengthen. So watch out for that the next week, especially when there are so much uncertainty that's looming the global market. Right, so moving on, we talk about Kiwi. Kiwi shows that there is contraction still above zero. Contraction meaning to say that there is lessening extent of expansion here. Right, we're seeing this happening already, and there is actually a weaker Kiwi as of now. If I just point you towards this particular pair right now, compared to the Australian, its counterpart, there is actually a strengthening of Aussie and a weakening of Kiwi, as opposed to what has happened for the last 2 months. From August all the way to September, we are seeing that there is actually a strengthening Kiwi as well as a weakening Aussie. So will this trend go on? I suppose it will, but there is very limited upside, which means it may not be able to breach this level at 107, which could prove to be a pretty good shot if it ever goes there. At the same time, I'm also looking that this trend here would be slow, not as stable and as predictable as its previous trend here from August to September. Right? All this because the FSI still shows that there is actually pretty good results for Kiwi's economy as opposed to the Aussie, and I'm only looking at lessening extent of expansion. I'm not actually looking at a recession. I'm not looking at a very bad performance in the economy. It's just going down at a lesser extent, going up at a lesser extent. And this actually shows within the sentiment itself. From the COT's point of view, it is shedding more long contracts, as you can see here. About 2,000 long contracts are shed last week, and some of these are actually short contracts as well. Pardon the typo there. It's close, albeit to a smaller extent. This does not stop the fact that the Kiwi is overall bearish. The sentiment and the momentum is by and large aligned, meaning to say that even though there is expansion in the economy, there is now a lessening extent, and the COT is telling us that more people are closing their long contracts now, resulting in a overall bearish momentum. Now, there are no events next week. It is not likely to move the Kiwi a lot, just like its counterpart Aussie, and sentiment and fundamental point south. Again, I do not like to fight that. I will most likely want to short a pair like Kiwi, and technically there is a lot of downside to Kiwi USD as of today 12 PM. So if I just bring you to the chart, I'm looking at pretty comfortable downside here from 7.2 all the way down to about 7. Sorry for that, and all the way up to about 695 to 70. So there's actually space here for you to play with, and if you like to play with that, well, again, just make sure that you are well protected. You can actually put a stop here, and you can actually go for a short here. Again, I'm not expecting a lot of movements here. If there is a huge move, most likely it would come from a risk event. As mentioned in Aussie just now, the risk event is always something that would move the Aussie and Kiwi regardless of any kinds of fundamental play or data release. They are all appealing to fear and greed itself. Risk events, if the market rebounds strongly from last week, may lead to an uncertain market sentiment or doji and would be sending the Kiwi upwards. So that would be your risk to a short Kiwi trade. Alright, so clear enough for these two key currencies to summarize. Aussie strong, Kiwi slightly weaker, and we are actually looking at capped upside and downside for both. And we are also worried about risk events. If let's say there's any news that regards any kinds of equity crash all around the world, that would send the Kiwi and Aussie haywire. Right? For the US dollar, we are actually looking at expansion in FSI, and it has been going on for a while right now. Stronger ISM but weaker labor. Average hourly earnings is hitting expectation at 0.2%. If I just show you the data here, very clear cut. Yes, last week was supposed to be this week, right? But it was actually its limelight is actually stolen away by pound itself. But take a look at this. We are actually looking at a pretty mixed data here. Right, there's green, there's red. ISM has improved, and it improved for last month, beating expectation. The ISM for non-manufacturing PMI has improved from last month, and not only that, beating the forecast by a very significant margin. Unemployment claims has improved. Non-farm employment change, the NFP, the notorious NFP, has actually decreased, beating again, filling the expectation and both last month's data. Unemployment rate has actually gone up a tick at 5% right now. But take a look at this. The average early earnings is actually 0.2%. The flavor of the moment, Fed is actually looking at this data right now because they want to make sure that people are earning money and spending them at the same time. Average hourly earnings month on month actually indicates that to a certain extent. So I would say that the message here is pretty mixed. And what does this mean? It is actually not too good for the US dollar, right? So overall the fundamentals are good, but we all know that the reason why US dollar would strengthen is because the Feds are expected or widely expected to increase rates by end of 2016, and they have always been saying that the data is the key to making sure that the raise in rates is called for. Right, so overall the fundamentals are good, but negative key data here like NFP always allows the Fed to say not now. And would they say that in November or December? I'm not sure. But it is highly likely that key people or key personnel within the Fed system itself would say that, well, the labor data is not showing us very encouraging signs. We might want to leave this rate decision thing to next year in 2017, and you will see the whole US dollar going haywire again and sending it all the way downward spiral. Right? There are a lot of opportunities here for these bets people to say that, well, not now, and the reason is very simple. It's just not encouraging enough, and we don't want that to happen in terms of from a dollar bull's point of view, right? But the market seems to be looking at it that way. There is a sentiment here at play that I only use DXY to show. DXY has been moving in a channel, and he has been respecting the channel for a while now, right? So he has been moving around 92 to 100, and that channel has been respected at all fronts, the upside, the downside, and he has gone up steadily ever since ISM has been out, non-manufacturing and manufacturing. But take a look at this drop right here. This drop here actually pretty much shows that that upside is kept for now. I'm not sure whether if this is pound. I'll explain why later, but I'm also not very sure if this labor market has actually a role to play in it. But what I can conclude in this is that the upside for US dollar will be kept for a while until better data is being released, and that is what this week is all about. If we take a look at this week, there's FOMC statement. That aside, there's also retail PPI and consumer confidence, all huddled within Wednesday to Friday period. We would see a clearer trend here, and the DXY is still an overall trend. Would it be supported by all this good data? We're not sure until the end of this week. So you can actually trade this data, or rather, you can actually trade this trend at the later end of this week. But you were not likely to see a lot of movements from Monday to Tuesday itself. Of course, there's risk to these USD trades, either up or down. We are not too sure until the data is out. We want to know whether if these are aligned. Let's say the fundamentals are showing us overall good picture, right? And I also want the sentiments to be good as well. And how do I get good sentiments? Good data. Good data is always the answer to good sentiments, right? So basically, what I want to have is an alignment of fundamental and sentiment this week. So if I can combine these two, and I'm going to see an upside to DXY and hence an upside to all the US dollar pairs, then I can trade. You can either trade outside the news, okay, pardon the typo there again, or you can get out, and you can get out before the news, or you can get in after the news, which is a clearer trend. So let me explain what do you mean by trade outside the news. So let's go back to the Forex Factory there just now, and if you can see that for this week's data, okay, this week's data are all forecasted to be higher than previous. All the data or all the forecasted data is actually higher than its previous. You can actually trade right now long the US dollar and get out before the news. You've heard the phrase before, buy the news, sell on the release, and when that happens, you can actually earn how much the market has expected the US dollar to improve. Right, so that's actually trading outside the news. Basically, you buy before the news actually released, and you sell right after or right before it is released, knowing that the expectation of good forecasted data is going to drive the market up. The other way that you can trade this is actually to go in after, which means when the market has released its data on Friday, you know, okay, the data actually point towards pretty good data, solid. The Fed would have very decent reason to say that, okay, let's not raise anymore. And you can actually trade long for US dollar if the data is good. But if it's not good, it gives you an idea that, well, the market is going to be mixed again. You might want to stay out, or you might want to short on that temporary bearish sentiment. So that's two ways to trade the US dollar for this week. Right, watch for euro and pound movements. Why do I say that? Is because the euro and the pound movements are very close counterparts to US dollar. I have not confirmed this in theory, but there is always rumors, or there's always saying that when the euro dollar goes up, when the euro USD goes up, okay, it actually means that there is two reasons. Firstly, the euro is strengthening. The other reason is that the USD is weakening, which means when euro drives the market, when euro goes up very, very significantly, like last week there was a news with regards to the ECB wanting to taper off their QE, and that actually sent the euro upwards, right? Then at the same time would actually weaken the dollar, and that actually is a trend. If you realize that the fundamentals is not involved here, it's only the sentiment. When the euro strengthens, at the same time the dollar will also weaken. If vice versa is true. When the dollar strengthens, euro will also weaken across the board, and it's just not the euro dollar pair. Now, again, I have not backtested this theory, I have not made any research on this theory, but it does seem to happen to a certain extent. So watch out for euro or pound news, because either of these currencies can actually drive the demand and supply for the dollar itself. Okay, so that given that this is very difficult to trade, we can only use this as a means to manage our trades, to manage our risk. So watch out for euro and pound movements. If you see that there is a huge news going on for the euro, for the pound, and trust me, such news are abundant this week. You're talking about Deutsche, you're talking about flash crash, you're talking about hard Brexit, blah blah blah. So you might actually get some of these unanticipated catalysts around the corner. So when that happens, watch out for your US dollar trades as well. Okay. Now the next one and the final one, and we are talking about finally expansion. Take a look at this small green hill here. That actually tells me that the pound has actually breached through the zero mark, and it is now above the line. We are actually looking at a fundamental expansion here. So for months right now, the BOE has been, if you recall, since last year 2015, they've been talking about how they want to raise rates in lieu with the Federal Reserve System, and they actually shut up the whole idea after bad data, and when you talk about Brexit, because of David Cameron. And well, basically right now you are here today witnessing the expansion of the UK economy, and such a bad timing, seriously, when Brexit is the key of a topic right now. The expansion of UK economy takes a back seat. Okay, relative to 52 weeks ago, where the economy for UK is doing pretty badly, we're actually looking at better performance right now. But does it mean that we want to long the pound? Let's talk about it. The COD actually added a higher number of short contracts here, from 7972 all the way to 18441. That's a lot of short contracts in 1 week. And you also have longs here, but I suppose that's because they want to catch the bottom. Overall, you're actually looking at negative of a short position here. Bearish momentum is high. As you can see from a graph just now before this, let me just go back there very quickly. You can see that the bearish momentum here is at all-time high, and compared to its peer, it is very, very significant. We are not actually talking about a small bearish momentum, we are talking about a pretty strong one here. After the flash crash, there is recovery, but the bulls are nowhere in sight. So no key pound data released next week, and we are at a whim of the market sentiment. I'm talking about fear and greed. And for now, for pound, I'm talking about fear. We have no yardstick to trade this particular pair whatsoever. And basically, if you're conservative, just stay away from this pair. Don't try to trade it. Don't try to catch the bottom, the falling knives, as many people put it. Don't try to short it if you have no idea whether it's going to go down even further, because I simply cannot give you an answer. This is what I talk about every time when I say I want to seek alignment here, right? Because the fundamental is showing us that, well, it's improving. And if you believe in the correlation between currency and its economy, and you will say that the pound would strengthen in the long term. But for now, because the entire market for pound is so mired in negative sentiment, we are not looking at any form of longs whatsoever. For those who are getting in for the long term, a pound long may pay off, but we're not seeing it playing out for the near future, or will the upside be an easy journey, which means it is going to be very, very picky, very, very touchy. If there's any small bad news that comes out, it might just send the pound all the way down again. But if there's a huge good news for pound, it might not send the pound upwards. That's what I meant. Okay, so if you look at last week's data, look at the the PMI data. The PMI data are pretty important for pound, especially the services sector. It actually accounts for about 78% of the services. Services sector actually accounts for about 78% of its GDP. You can say that these data are wonderful. They are not only beating expectation, they are also better by a margin, a huge margin compared to its previous month. So that is actually good news for pound, for UK economy all over, right? But of course, it did not play out. As we all know, by Friday, it actually shed off another 6%, bigger than its Brexit move. Brexit sentiment is a very strong one right here. The uncertainty rules by a huge margin compared to fundamentals, compared to technicals. They are all thrown out the window right now. So we all have to just look at what the people think about pound right now. And given that, I would always advise my friends, my family, to stay away if you're a conservative trader. Right? Let's just take a look at what I meant here by how Brexit sentiment is very strong. We just take a look at the news that actually has been covered on this British economy or the pound dollar, the pound sterling itself. I just simply typed in UK economy in Google and I click on news, and this is what they give me, right? British economy loses steam as business investment wilts. Now, I'm not sure what kind of analysis they have made. They probably have some forward-looking analysis. Mine is backward-looking. They are saying that the economy is actually losing steam. Well, I actually have a very different picture paint here. But the idea is, this entire the article does not give me a very concrete number to say that, well, the economy has been wilting, except headings like saying investment fading, or well, economies loses steam. And they have people saying that, well, there are a lot of people who are stopping their investments, they are not spending on plant and machineries. But these are all opinions of people, or posts taken by CFOs, taken in the immediate aftermath of the Brexit vote. And bear in mind that Brexit hasn't even occurred yet. It hasn't even taken place. It's all speculation, and there is no concrete data or specifics or details with regards to how is it going to play out. Is it going to be a hard one? Is it going to be a soft one? Would there even be a Brexit in the first place? We all don't know. So all these are speculation and sentiment. The idea is that if you take a look at this headline here and take a look read into this article here, you will feel that there is actually a bad idea, there is actually a bad or negative sentiment with regards to pound strength. And that gives me an idea of what the market is thinking right now, or what the media is swaying the market to think about right now. Take a look at another one. This is more or less a localized article. I've not seen this website. I searched for UK economy, and this is what came out. It says hard Brexit will do serious and lasting damage to the UK economy, says business leaders. Now, who are these business leaders? I don't know. I only know that they are CFOs, they are business owners, probably small, probably big, but I don't know what their credentials. The idea is that these people are always saying that, well, this is going to be very, very difficult for the UK economy. And while it hasn't played out, it has already played out within the pound market itself, right? And these are all negative sentiments that I'm trying to put a point here. Okay, so the idea here is that these people are saying that, oh, it's a bad idea, the Brexit is a bad idea, don't go on with it. And right now, these news are here to influence people how they think, and these influences would play itself out in the market itself, and in the forex market especially. And another one is called CTM.com. Okay, I usually check this particular website for any kinds of forward-looking pound news, and at the same time, sometimes they can be a bit more sensationalized. Right? After a torrid time for sterling, is the UK economy heading for trouble? Well, again, I'm still looking at pretty negative sentiments here, right? So, this basically sums up what I feel about the pound. Well, at the same time, pound is showing me that there's a pretty good rate of expansion here. At the same time, the Brexit sentiment is playing out in the market. Because of that, I'm not taking any pound trades. I will be not recommending any kinds of pound trades as well, but of course, for those people who are in for the long term, and I'm talking about a few months to probably a year, you might want to take a long here. 1.21 is pretty low, 1.24 currently trading. You might want to aim for 1.33, which is the next immediate resistance. Let's take a chart here. Pound USD. Right now it's been trading at say 1.24. Yep, exactly at 1.24. And if I would to take this particular pair, I might want to just take perhaps a good bottom here about 1.22 and go for, let's say, about 1.34, 1.35, which is the next immediate resistance. Or you can aim for the 1.30 mark, which is a turncoat support turns resistance area, and you might get yourself a pretty good trade there. But again, I'm not seeing how this will play out in the near future. Stay safe and stay away from this trade or this pair or this currency if you're conservative. Alright, so that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed that session. I hope it was informative. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us at info@alphaplay.com.sg. If you have any ideas to share, feel free to share within our Facebook group as well. So the idea is we want to have as many inputs as possible. If you go to our website here, you can see that you can actually communicate with us pretty easily, and we always reply within a day, right? So you can actually talk to us right here and share with us with your ideas if you have any. My name is JD, and I'm glad to be talking to you guys about fundamental and sentiment analysis this week. I'll see you next week.